All right, it is 9:59 a.m. I had three trades so far, and all of them have failed, but I feel a lot better just trying them, especially because of that recent game with RIVN. I feel like I have a lot more cushion or space to make mistakes and try things that I wouldn't normally try, or at least things I would be super conservative with. And now this time I could give it a little bit more of a chance. I did do my first trade with DIDY, and this one was nice because, as you can see, this level right here, the highest point of the highest day is 505, and we were having price action above 505 even into this point right here, almost 510. And all we needed was news, I think, and it would have potentially have worked out. I did trade this one. I bought 100 shares at 933, which was right here at this candle, and that was at 496 and a half. And the reason why I got in it is because it did close. When I first saw it, it looked like it closed above VWAP, but I guess now since the charts have adjusted and everything, it closed right at VWAP. But essentially, I thought if it could close above VWAP, it could be a sign of a change in momentum and it can be very aggressive. And I consider getting out of the trade if it looks like it's going to close under VWAP or close under VWAP, completely. And that's what happened. Unfortunately, at 9:35, I did get out. Once it did officially close under VWAP and it didn't try to really regain itself and try to close back above VWAP, I was allowing it to be maybe a wick where right here it kind of broke the VWAP line, but then it has a wick and it comes back and it closes above or maybe at VWAP. It didn't happen. When it closed up below it, I got out the next minute immediately, and that was the first one right here. And then I did try Rivian for a dip buy, morning panic, bounce playing theory. And I think this trend line, this downtrending trend line is super important. And I might consider trading it one more time if it breaks above this trend line because it has successfully held it consistently throughout the entire thing. I did buy 100 shares at 943, which was right here. And that was after it broke this downtrending trend line. And then it was having like a few candles opening and closing past it without really showing a sign that it was going to sell off some more. And I did get in it. And then I got out once it looked like it was going to break the day low. I got out at 944, which was right here at 1636. And yeah, it did continue to sell off some more. I immediately cut the trade. I'm going to make an update later. I don't like how close it is to this line, and I don't want to miss a setup for that reason. Alright, I am going to continue watching this. It just seems like it might try to dance around this trend line. Maybe it's going to, like it did here, break above it, but then it might just sell off and then kind of come back and just play a bunch of games. So I might leave this alone. Maybe an inverse head and shoulders, shoulder head and maybe a shoulder at some point, and then I might consider it. But if it just goes to VWAP right now, that'll be fine. I just don't like the way, just trading around it. I want to see, like multiple confirmations that it's going to, potentially uptrend. And then if I'm able to get a setup and trade it, that'd be nice, but it doesn't have to work. I did do one trade with Rivian after that one right here, and that was at 958. So once it was actually starting to uptrend, as you can tell, this had two green candles in a row, and this one did too. So once it showed that maybe it was trying to trade around that really important level of 16, and we had two candles, I did get in at 956. Less shares because I was further from my risk level, which was the wick, and that was this one right here at 60371. Yeah, it got to VWAP. That's unfortunate. It just wanted to, just a little too ugly to trade, I guess. But it eventually did get to VWAP. I want to see if it can. It probably will break above it and continue more. But I did have an interest once we were showing that it was uptrending for these two candles, and I did get in, and I essentially had a trend line right here because it was a bit of a chase because ideally I'm in it under 16, but I got in above 16 with a bit of a confirmation that it was at least uptrending for the past few minutes. And then once it was looking like it was going to close under the trend line that I made, I got out of it at 958, which was right here once we officially closed under the trend line and then opened under the trend line. And I got out, which was the right thing to do because it did sell off. some more, and then we finally broke the. I guess the thing that I could have done was just wait for the big picture, which was to not have traded or try the dip by any of these setups until it finally broke above this really important trend line that I drew from here to the wick of the first candle, and it followed it nicely throughout the entire morning. So yeah, once it broke past this one, it did uptrend, and then it did like a little downtrend, and that kind of threw me off. And yeah, I got to the level, I guess. Hindsight 2020 would have been the big to be long right when it broke past it. But then you can see it broke past it here, then it sold off some more. So I guess once it broke past it and then sold off some more, and then after selling off, it's still above the trend line, maybe an entry at 1591, and then now it's at 1625. This was a lot trickier to trade compared to the previous few days. So I'm not too upset, and this thing can still be an inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. Really sucks that I tried here and then I tried here. Right, I think there was another one. How many tries? I had one. Yeah, I had two tries. I had one try here and one try here. Then I missed the one that actually works out. That really sucks, but that's fine. Um, yeah, that's really lame. I'll make an update later. There isn't really anything else that I'm interested in trading. Don't really want to trade this one, even if it looks like a potential inverse head and shoulders. This one has no volume, so I'll probably remove it. This one I don't really want to trade. I just want to look at it because it just sold off so massively. And I want to see how much it can uptrend. This one got ruined by this wick, but ever since it was not able to hold above VWAP, I lost interest. I like how this one's trying to break past this downtrending trend line, but it might just uptrend a little and then sell off and then go back to the trend line. But then if it's able to hold above it, maybe that could be a swing trade with GTII. That's pretty much it. Yeah, sucks. I missed out on the ultimate, turnaround. I bet it can go to 17 at this point, but I don't really want to chase it. At least I tried. I'll make an update later. It is 9:19 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be down on the day. $9, 92 cents, three setups, and all of them failed. But I was right eventually with RIVN that it was going to potentially do a morning panic bounce setup, and I tried here, it failed. I tried here when it was starting to work, and that failed, and then I missed the one that ultimately turned around, which sucks. But it would have been pretty nice, like for example, if I were to have maybe sold maybe half at 1621, and then the other half once the trend line here broke, which would have been maybe something like this, perhaps, right? And I would have been out the other half at maybe 1638. So like maybe let's just say a sell at 1625, and then I would have had like an entry once it started to break the trend line that's no longer here, unless I bring back the chart with extended hours, but something around, let's just say 1597, right? That would have worked out, and that would have been with a $10 risk level trading listed stocks, and yeah, that would have made it up. But unfortunately, I didn't trade the ultimate turnaround, which stinks, but that's fine. And there wasn't really anything else that I was interested in, no, like inverse head and shoulders that I was thinking about. Unless you want to count this, I guess this could have been something where maybe it was a shoulder head, and then this was like a really aggressive bullish shoulder, and then it also dipped towards VWAP. That could have been a setup too, perhaps, but I was going for something like this. And as for this one, the chart is completely broken because of this wick right here, but it essentially failed to hold above VWAP in the morning, and it didn't make a move towards the multi-day highs, which would have been the $5 range. That's pretty much it. I feel fine in that, I have this trade that worked out a few days ago, right? Because then that offers me like a big cushion for me to make a lot of mistakes and, maybe not be so tense with setups and allowing them to work out, or in this case, fail, but like with a good confirmation and not worry about it. So yeah, that's it for this day right here. Would have been nice if I were to have gotten the bottom. I guess as a reminder to, really respect the really big downtrending trend lines, and then maybe if it's such a very important trend line and it's failed to break above it multiple times, maybe it is time to consider a long setup once it actually breaks past it immediately, or like in this case, after a little dip, once it, went a little lower after it initially broke out of it, and then that could be the one that ultimately makes the move. And I don't have to wait for it to constantly, downtrend some more and the more and more, playing around that trend line. So that's the case with that. More lessons, I guess. That's it for today. Oh, and I remember there's one more thing I want to know. As for another swing trade with RIVN, I don't like how it broke under this level right here, which the low is 1584. And even though it only went slightly less than 1584, I don't like that. It's now like a double bottom. So for a swing trade setup, I want to see an uptrend, and then ideally as it just keep uptrending. But after an uptrend and downtrends one more time and then makes a higher low off of here. And then that would be something that I would be interested in swinging. I just don't like how, again, it just broke under the day low, or I guess the multi-range low right here. I want to see it put up a higher low before I could consider a swing trade setup if an opportunity presents itself.